Greetings, brothers and sisters in Christ. We come to you this day with an update from the task force of Wake Forest Presbyterian. And before we get to the content of what we want to say, I want to take a brief moment to say a word of thanksgiving for Jim Mather and our IT elders and everybody who has a hand in helping run the technology of this church so that we can bring messages like this one to you and worship and ministry opportunities. So a big note of thanks to everyone helping run that behind the scenes. I want to begin with a passage from the New Testament book of Titus, the first chapter, verse 9. And this is what Titus says about leaders in the church. And this is something we're all called to do. To pay attention to the reliable message as it has been taught to them and to us, so that we can encourage the people with healthy instruction. In the Presbyterian denomination, the PCUSA denomination, the session is the governing body of the church. Decisions are made that encompass everything in the life of the church, from mission to discipleship to finance to facilities, fellowship, membership, and many more things are under the purview of the session. And our elders and also our diaconate, they serve with joy and with imagination. And from time to time, session may vote to create a task force that is empowered to handle a specific issue and to make decisions on it. Much like this case, the pandemic and what steps we are taking toward reopening. We have a reopening task force of the session. The task force takes this responsibility very seriously and has been working almost a year now. Discussions are held, prayer is central, research is shared, and all decisions are made by consensus. The group works as a unit, as one. There is not someone making individual decisions. We do it in the spirit of fellowship and community with one another. So here's what the task force has decided. Indoor, in-person small group gatherings of 25 or less are allowed, and you can register with Renee. Secondly, watch parties for worship on Sunday mornings are going to be in the CLC starting February 21st. Max attendance is going to be 50, and it's going to be done with a rotation system using the church's branches. If you don't know what the branches are, they are clusters of congregants that are grouped together by geographical location in relationship to the church. And any unfilled slots are going to be open to the general congregation for attendance. All indoor gatherings at church, they have specific safety guidelines that have been promoted in the e-news and church emails and in sign-up links. So friends, I want to say we are, all of us, fatigued from COVID. Many of us might be at the end of our rope as far as endurance goes. But this is especially the time to be vigilant and to not become complacent. The task force is very aware that, to put it bluntly, they have people's lives in their hands. The health and safety of this church family is critical. And I want to invite you to keep the task force in your prayers as they continue to do the hard and necessary work of discernment. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Heather Gutenkes now.
Thank you, John. Hi, everyone. As a physician, Pastor Rebecca had asked me about 9 months ago to lend a medical perspective to the task force, and it's been a pleasure to participate in that way. And today I'm just going to remind you of some important measures as we move forward towards reopening to keep in mind. All the information that I'm going to say today can be found on the CDC's website, and we are using that for our guidance going forward. As far as safety when you're coming to campus, be sure to protect yourself and others. We are asking that you continue to wear a mask, and when you're here, that you maintain 6 feet of distance or 2 arms length between you and others. Continue to wash your hands and avoid touching your face can also be helpful. If you are touching any surfaces, those will need to be cleaned as well. In general, the more people that you do interact with, the more closely you interact with them, and the longer those interactions are, the higher chances of getting the virus. So just keep that in mind when you're making your decisions. If you have plans to come to campus, there may be some times where you should change your plans. If you have any symptoms of the COVID virus, or you have been in close contact with someone in the past 14 days who has been diagnosed, you should not come to campus. And close contact is usually at least 15 minutes of time with someone within 6 feet of distance. There are a variety of symptoms that patients can have when they get COVID, and the symptoms can appear anywhere from 2 to 14 days after you've been exposed. Some of those things are fevers, chills, coughing, shortness of breath. fatigue, body aches, muscle aches, headaches, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion, runny nose, nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. Now, a lot of these symptoms can be seen in other diagnoses as well, but right now, if you have any of those, you shouldn't be coming to campus. And then also just keep a close eye on the community, how high the numbers are around us. Also, you may need to be a little bit more vigilant when things are getting to be more of risk in the community. There's definitely some people who are at higher risk for getting more serious complications if they are to get infected. So please keep that in mind when you're making your choices at home and also on campus. Older adults, anybody who has a chronic underlying medical diagnosis, chronic heart disease, lung disease, any type of cancer. Pregnant women are also at high risk for having complications from COVID. And when it comes to distancing, when you're visiting with others, either at home or on campus, it is thought to be outside is safer than indoors. But if it's not feasible to be outside, being in a well-ventilated space, if you can open a door or window, that can help to reduce the spread of the virus. Again, staying 6 feet apart is important. If you're having chairs or tables, you can maneuver those in a way where you're spaced apart. That would also be helpful. A general reminder about masks, they really work best if they're covering your mouth and your nose at all times. So keep that in mind. The masks protect you, but more importantly, they do protect others as well. So in conclusion, you can protect yourself and others by wearing your mask, continuing to stay 6 feet apart, avoiding large crowds, continuing to wash your hands, and getting a vaccine when it's available to you. Trust me, nobody wants this to be over more than your healthcare workers. So thank you for doing your part.
Thank you, John and Heather, and I'm sure you guys were thrilled to hear from some other members of our task force. I believe the rest of the task force is in a witness protection program right now. Just kidding, no they're not. We would all love nothing more than to meet up in this room, just clear the chairs out, meet up in this room and do one of those great big group hugs. I'm talking, we would squeeze in tight, wouldn't we, if that was safe to get here and do that, but we're just not at that point right now. I'm thinking if we did that, I would love to sing the song, Lean on Me. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I might just have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Well, right now we all have a problem that we all understand. And we certainly need somebody to lean on. In an interview about the inspiration for this song, Bill Withers explained that he grew up in a small coal mining town in West Virginia. And he just said the people there were a lot more attentive to each other than folks in LA and New York. This church family, my faith, has made me more attentive to others. As a perfect example of my struggles with attentiveness, I'm gonna talk about penguins. As you probably know, penguins are very graceful swimmers, but extremely inefficient on land. A group of penguins in the water is called a raft, and a group of penguins on land is called a waddle. And one of the coolest things about a waddle is when the winds get really cold and brutal, they do one of those group hugs I was talking about, and they get real close. But the interesting thing is they take turns being on the outside of the group hug and take turns taking on the brutal winds. So when put in a position where they are not efficient, they unite and they share the hardship. Now follow me in my gnat-like attention span over to Galatians 6.2, where Paul is writing to the Galatians about being transformed by the presence and power of the Spirit. And Paul is, when he's writing this letter, he is speaking from a place of passion and frustration I think we all can understand. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. The task force understands that over the past year, we've all been penguins on land. We've moved from our natural habitat to a place where almost every aspect of our life has been turned upside down and seems awkward. The challenge and frustrating part for all of us is, unlike the pains and sorrows we've experienced before, we're not able to get together now like we could then. And do a giant group hug. We will continue to move forward safely, know that. We will continue to move forward safely. We appreciate your encouragement, patience, and prayers. Keep those coming. And we ask that you continue to stay safe while being attentive to the burdens of your brothers and sisters. Thank you.
I have a parting blessing that I'm going to give to all of us, and it comes from words written by Kate Buckley, who's a friend of mine from seminary. She's the Paris Associate at St. Simon's Presbyterian Church in Georgia. So I invite you to take a look at this with me as I read it to you. The blessing goes like this. Blessed be the back pew Presbyterians, displaced for a moment or an eon, attempting solace on a screen, trusting in tomorrow, a wooden bench warmed again. And friends, we can trust that there will come a tomorrow where we get to warm these padded chairs once again. So continue to keep us in prayer, and we continue to keep you in prayer as we and the task force and the leadership in this church discern and put into place measures to keep us safe while creatively maintaining ministry. Thank you.